Going on, dudes? Turn the music down a little bit. That should be a bit better. How you guys doing today? Happy Saturday. I'm supposed to be at the Amherst Train Show, but there's a blizzard outside, so I'm doing this instead. Hope you guys are doing well. Looks like we got a few people here right now. 15 or so. Opinion on grilled cheese. Love it. I prefer... Kind of weird. I used to make this grilled cheese with Swiss and jalapenos and bacon. Oh man, it's so good. Classic grilled cheese is still excellent. Let's see what's happening over here. You just watched the TOC build. That's awesome. Great. Glad you enjoyed it. So today we're gonna take a spin on the P&B. I want to show you guys some of the stuff that I've been doing well, it's not even off camera. Things that I've been doing during my Patreon live streams. And hang on, I'm just trying to adjust my audio levels here. There we go. So if you guys don't know, I do weekly hangouts on Patreon, well, with my patrons through Discord, and I do a monthly live stream where I've lately been working on the P&B. So I've been doing a lot of stuff that's not in videos. And you guys probably don't even know all of the stuff that I've actually gotten done on the P&B lately. So it's coming along pretty nicely. I'm happy with how it's shaping up. Let's see, can I make the chat pop out? Yes. All right, let me do that and this. So we're gonna take a little spin around Grafton. We're gonna switch some industries down to Highland. I want to switch the brewery. I'd like to switch the new TOFC thing. And maybe we'll switch around Grafton a little bit because there's some new industries around Grafton that we could do. So we will we'll see what we get into today. I've got basically the whole day, so I can kind of fart around for as long as I feel like it. As long as you guys are interested. Yes, that is a Roland. I don't even know. It's a Roland electric drum set. Yes. Yeah, this hat is actually my buddy's railroad up in Maine. One of my patrons, and I get the Maine Central shirt on and the good old AM, where is it? There it is, AM logo hoodie. So let's see, how many people are watching? Oh, I shouldn't have closed that window. What do we got? 30 people. Cool. Let me open this back up. How's the audio levels? You guys can hear me okay? Is the music okay? Let me blow the horn on this engine. You guys tell me if it's too loud or not loud enough. That can't be too loud enough. Let me turn that up a little bit. That seems good to me. You guys let me know what you think. All right, so I want to show you guys a couple things that I've been doing around the Grafton Yard area real quick, because I have, like I said, been doing some off-camera stuff and some things during my Patreon stream. So first, I want to show you guys a new industry that we've added up here at the port, and it's right up this branch here. And we've got it's still a work in progress, obviously. We still have, you know what, I'm gonna move my camera over here because I feel like looking directly at the camera is kind of strange. And now you guys can see my end scale layout right there too, so that's kind of cool. So first of all, we've got this ore transfer facility. I can't remember what it's called, but essentially the ore will come in on ships, get dumped here, and then loaded into freight cars. And this ore will then go down to Allegheny steel to be processed into steel. So I like that addition. That was at the suggestion of one of my patrons. So this is one of the things that I did during a Patreon stream. We've got the grain terminal over here. This is another build that I was working on during Patreon stream. I definitely like how that's coming along. Obviously, it is a little ways off from being finished, but it's coming together pretty nicely. Trying to think of what else I've done. I think I filled in some of the scenery around here as well, which is coming along pretty nicely. Obviously, I added some scenery over here along the bend, and a little bit more mainline action there. And I also added I want to take you guys down to, what is this? Is this Grundy's Gravel? I think I built this during a stream as well a couple months ago. So this is right near the Pleasantville Secondary. Right there is the branch to the Pleasantville Secondary. We've got our MOW yard here and then the big Y track. Yeah, I installed this during a couple of builds a few months ago. So this is where our gravel is going to go from our gravel yard, and it will come out to this facility. And this is another facility that I was using Google Earth for some reference photos or reference material or whatever. So I have not switched anything here yet either, and it is still sort of a work in progress, but that is another one of the builds that I have been working on. So we'll see what else we get into. I've also been working on the scenery around Pleasantville and the Moss Creek branch and Mine 78 and all that. Trying to fill in some of the gaps in areas that are going to be just totally filled in with trees and stuff like that. Obviously, there's a lot of mainline track that needs to be updated, and that's what I was talking about in yesterday's video. Still a lot of work to be done here around Highland. I haven't started on the scrapyard yet. That's going to be the next video, and I'll probably get started on that this week, simply because I'm kind of on a roll. The creative juices are flowing, so I'm working on that. Last night and the night before, I finished some of the scenery. Well, not finished, but I got some more scenery done behind the TOFC yard. As you can see here, I got a little neighborhood built in, and a couple industry, not really industries, but warehouses and storage yards and parking lots and that sort of nonsense. Music is a tad too loud. Let's turn it down a little bit. Let's take it to there. Cool. So been filling in that. There's still quite a bit of work to be done here, but like I said, I've been pretty inspired lately, so building has been coming easy. So today what I want to do is I want to take a train down from Grafton. I want to switch out our TOFC yard here, switch out, I got 3 cars staged here, and I'd like to try to switch out the brewery. I don't know if I'm going to fully switch it or if I'm just going to pull the cars or what. I honestly haven't done any operating on this section at all, so I'm kind of interested to see how that is gonna go. So we'll bring that back up, and man, I need some light on my face. Let me see something really quick here. I just bought a ring light, so you know I can get some light on my face when I'm streaming, but it hasn't shown up yet, unfortunately. But I can do this. I think I could brighten this up a little bit. Give me 1 second. I'm wearing all black and it's a white room, so it's not really ideal. Yeah, it's gonna overexpose the background a little bit, but you know what? I'll live with that. All right, so how long is the route? It hasn't gotten any longer since whatever the last tour video was that I did. It's still like, what is it, like 30-40 miles or something like that from end to end. I love city scenery, man. I've learned that it's sort of more of my thing than countryside scenery. I don't know, I'm just way more comfortable. I guess because I've lived in New York City pretty much my entire adult life, so. All right, so I've got a rail driver controller set up here. So I think that we'll just start getting things going. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat while I'm doing things. Yeah, this is tame. I'm hoping to get this into 19. You have to excuse me. I still have a little bit of a cough from this COVID business. I want to finish the route in Tane, and then I'm going to bring it into 19 and go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a cut of cars. We'll take this cut of cars, I think is what I staged. What do we got? 4 box cars and 3 hopper cars. We'll do a little yard switching first. Let's take these tank cars as well, these 3. and we'll bring them down to the brewery. We'll switch that out. We'll start with that and see how long that takes, because I honestly don't even know. So let's get going here. And I guess we'll take these things. What kind of engines are these again? I forgot. B30s. So we'll take these. We'll do our switching. No, it's more of a road train. Let's use the Jeeps. Oh man, my microphone is kind of in my way here. No, I don't do this. Uh-oh, rail driver is not... The dynamic brakes, or the train brake, is not releasing. There it goes. I really dislike the single chime horn on this thing, though. Definitely not my favorite. I can't remember if I set up the crossings here or not. We'll find out in a moment. What's up, guys? Just joining? Hello, hello. Oh yeah, the signals. I don't know how to set up signals, to be honest with you. These signals that you see all over the place, they're just placeholders right now. Oh, it doesn't look like I've... Oh, I guess I did turn on the gates. Yeah, all the signaling on the P&B right now is just for placeholders, so we can do some testing with AI trains and that sort of thing. It looks like craziness, and I'm gonna blow through all the red signals right now just because, like I said, they're just placeholders. I figured I'd point that out so you guys don't start yelling at me for going through red signals. I've got the GP60s, yeah. Rochester route is sort of shelved right now because I just haven't had the time to to really put any work into it. You know, the last couple of projects I did, the NCTM and the Hudson and Western, and now I'm focusing on the P&B. They're all just, it's all just been really time consuming. I've been putting a lot of effort into like completing projects before like doing something else. And I've sort of discovered that I'm much better when I can just focus on one project at a time instead of like splitting my attention between, you know, a whole bunch of different things. And the Rochester build is so big that I kind of don't know realistically like if it's worth it for me to be putting too much time into, because that's like years and years and years, you know, in the making if I was to do the whole thing. So I don't know. I've paused it for now. My plan at the moment is to put all my efforts into the P&B and get that done this year, and then go back to the main central build, which unfortunately I'm pretty much going to have to start over with that one. But that's okay. I mean, there's a lot of things that I did wrong on the original build, I guess, or like the first couple of episodes, that I'd like to correct. So it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But I would like to go back to that build and actually complete it, because I think that that's something that's within like a realistic grasp of, you know, being able to be completed. So I'd like to focus on that next, but that, not until the P&B is done. I gotta finish the P&B first. In terms of AI trains for the P&B, I typically... this controller is not working properly. What is on here? Something is not right. In terms of AI trains on the P&B, like, I don't really like running road trains. So for the most part, I would be, you know, building a train in a yard and then using the AIs to run the train from, you know, one yard to another. I don't really know why the dynamic brakes were like stuck on like that. It's weird. Yeah, so AI trains on the P&B, really just to go from one place to the other. I prefer to do like the local switching and organizing the trains and dealing with the logistics of that sort of thing. That's what I enjoy doing. Oh, you know what I should have done? This is why I don't actually work for the railroad. I'm also distracted here. I should get the cut of tank cars and just attach it to this. So let's push this back. Port of Los Angeles was just like a fun build to do. The DEM for the main central is just of the Portland area, so it's got Rigby Yard right up to the southern end of it, maybe like a mile past Rigby. And it goes, yeah, it covers all of the Portland terminal area and then a little bit to the west. I'm trying to think of how far west it goes. It's a decent size, but I think it's realistic to, you know, especially if I cut away parts of like the city of Portland, you know, I think it'll be doable. Yeah, Port of LA was just sort of like, I guess, an experiment. Like, I was just trying to see... I wanted to do something totally different. I wanted to do, like, a Union Pacific, West Coast, you know, sort of city thing. But again, that's also, like, a build that is just so big that if I was to really try to finish it in its fullest and do it justice, it would take years to get done. So... I don't really know that that's ever going to be a project that will be released. What track do we want to go to here? But I mean, it's fun. I'll probably revisit it a few times, you know, and kind of mess around with it. Maybe I can release like a segment of it, but you know, in terms of like full completion of the Port LA, it's not realistic. It's too big. Right now we're in Trains a New Era. Ah, Crawford Notch. Yeah, if that can connect together, that would be pretty dope. That would be pretty dope. Because you know, my overall plan with the main central build was to build out to, you know, the mountain division and build northward a little bit as well. We'll grab this cut of tanks, we'll put it onto our cut of boxcars and hoppers, and we will take this down to Highland. And again, I have no idea how long it's going to take to get down there or anything. Let's see, we need to switch that. Okay, we should be good. Yeah, the horn, I saw somebody mention earlier, why couldn't I just change the horn? Well, look at the model. The horn is just a single chime horn model up there, so I guess technically that's the kind of horn that is on this thing. I have no idea. I don't like the single chime. It just sounds like a boat. Rail driver is like this thing is probably 10 years old. It's so disgusting. I really should just throw this one out and get a new one. Half the buttons don't really work. It's all like all the switches are stuck. What's up, LTG? These things are expensive too. I think I paid like $200 for this stupid thing. I guess if it lasted this long, then I got my money's worth. No, I've never played Fall Harvest or Cajon Pass. I honestly don't do a whole lot of operations ever. The only time that I operate anything is on the P&B. I've literally never ran an operating session on any of the routes that I've made. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, I've never done an ops session on the Hudson and Western. Maybe I've ran on the DBEV actually. I've done, I mean, I built the sessions for it, so I've obviously done something. But overall, the only route that I ever do anything with for fun is this one. I'm kind of anxious to get this into 19 also, because if I understand correctly, when you go to edit your route, you can kind of edit within a session. So like, for example, today, you know, when we're done doing this operating session, the cars are going to be in a certain, you know, they're going to be in certain places. But when I go to edit the route and I save it again, because I'm passing the route back and forth between me and my friend who are working on it together, I don't have any of that, you know, I'd have to like relaunch the session again. Like I don't have any of that data saved. But in Trains 2019, you could just go into the, you know, combine surveyor and driver and just sort of switch between the two, do some work, and, you know, then jump into surveyor or jump into driver and switch out some cars and jump back into surveyor. And I like that idea. So I would like to get this into 2019 as soon as possible, but I know there's a lot of people waiting for the route to be done in Tane because they use Tane. So I'm just kind of waiting on that. I'm gonna move this. You can see that I got a board here for working on my layout. I was going to put the fascia on it this weekend. I was going to do it last weekend, but I didn't get around to it. But I might do it today or tomorrow. Unfortunately, since I do live in an apartment and I don't have like power tools or anything like that, so that 4x whatever sheet of what is it, MDF or something, I got to cut it by hand with a freaking handsaw. All right, let's see. We'll couple these back together. And then we'll run around our train and head down to Highland. I wish this game had like a proper first-person view, like in Railroads Online or, you know, Train Sim World or whatever. That would make this... That's the only reason that I don't play like in cab mode in this, is because it's just, you can't move around. Like if you were able to move around like in first-person view, that would make this game so much better. And I would definitely always play in... You know, I wouldn't be in this sort of like God's eye view. Yeah, it's a rolling drum kit behind me. So I guess we'll use track 1 here to run around. Well, actually I can get on the main track. Get the headlight on too. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I don't, you know, you could play like this, but like, and you can move around, but there's no like clipping or there is clipping. There's no like hitbox on any of this stuff. It doesn't really feel like a real first-person view. Like, yeah, if you want to like sit in the cab, but like I like the idea of being able to like walk outside and throw the switch and uncouple the cars and all that. You know what I mean? There's still so much I got to do on the P&B. I just realized I've never put any speed limits on anything except for like phase 1, obviously, but I haven't done any like the speed limits on any of the tracks, or obviously got to do signaling. Yeah, there's still a lot to do. How do you move around inside the cab? You have to put on, I think it's in here, under interface settings, general settings. There's a, yeah, enable free internal camera. You got to put that on, and then you can use the arrow keys to move around inside the cab. Let's fly ahead just to check the track alignment here. We'll see how long it takes before I derail something. Why did it just do that? That was weird. Wait, what am I trying to do? I wanted to switch that. Oh, look, I gotta change out the, I guess I didn't really do a whole lot of work on this side of the yard, huh? All the switch stands gotta get swapped out. I didn't even realize that. Alright, we can throw this. And let's see, what track are we going on to? Going on to this one. Ah. I think it's the third. Yeah. I also wish I could get rid of the, there was a way to get rid of the hold control right click, or like these giant chonky, I know you can get rid of the giant chonky arrows, make them smaller, but it's just like, I hate like just, you, like leave your mouse someplace and it's constantly like trying to give you some kind of contextual information. I just don't want any of that. $74 people hanging out. All right, dudes. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling today, stopping by and all of that. I was hoping to be in Springfield at the Amherst train show today. It's my favorite thing. And it's like the biggest train show on the East Coast. And this stupid blizzard here, man. If I could have got out there last night, I would have been able to go, but I couldn't get a room last night, unfortunately. I'm not driving in a blizzard to go to a train show. So, canceled my hotel room, and here I am. Figured today I'll work on I'll play a little bit in here and then work on my N scale model a little bit. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's see. So we've been streaming for 30 minutes. So I'd say it took about 20 minutes just to do some switching. I'm trying to get an idea how long it's going to take to go from here to Highland and all that. I can't really go by the game time because I had this session open and running before I started streaming, so the clock was already ticking. What am I modeling in N scale? I've got the it's Brooklyn's Bush Terminal, so I've got a little car float set up and small yard and some industries. It's just a little switching layout because I don't have a whole lot of space. You can kind of, let's see, you can see it right there. That's the whole thing. All right, onward. I don't know if we should have a caboose here. I haven't really thought too much about caboose operations on the P&B. I made the cabooses because I like cabooses, but they're also kind of a pain in the butt when you're switching. It just creates all this extra work. All right, so we'll just jump right on the main line from here. Why not? Oh, Andrew, I'll have to take a look at your pictures there. Is this route a Patreon download? If you are, so here's the thing with that. If you're a top tier patron, which is the executive tier, I give you, yeah, you'll have access to the P&B as it is. Every month I update the download link, and if you're a top tier patron, you will have access to the route while it is being built. So basically what you see right here is the current version that's available for download if you're a top tier patron. So, man, a lot of questions about the drum set behind me. Yes, I guess I'll give you a good look at it. There you go. But yeah, if you go over to, I don't want to sound like I'm just pushing my Patreon or anything like that, but if you do go over to my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/approachmedium, you can see, I think I've got like 5 tiers there that you can sign up for with varying degrees of benefits. So I guess I'll give you an overview while we're at it. $1 will get you your name in the credits. $5 a month gets you access to videos early. $10 gets you access to a separate part of my Discord just for patrons. And that also includes the weekly hangouts. So every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 o'clock, we get on a call on Discord and just talk shop, talk about the game, talk about whatever. And usually I do some streaming. If I'm working on the P&B, I'll stream some P&B work. It's really like informal, I guess I should say. So if I'm working on 3D modeling, I might do some 3D modeling and stream that. Or I might not stream at all. But usually it's, usually us hanging out every Wednesday. $20 a month, right? The next one is $15 a month. That gets you access to my asset packs that I release every month. So each month I release anywhere between 2 and 3 assets to huge asset collections. That gets you early access to that. The $20 a month tier gets you access to the monthly live streams, which I do the first Wednesday night of every month. And that could be anything. That could be reskinning tutorials, 3D modeling stuff, P&B builds, or any other project that I might be working on at the time. And that's a little bit more of a formal thing. And obviously, once you're in that tier, you get access to the playback as well. So you don't necessarily have to be there when it's live. You can watch it back later on at your own convenience. And then, so that's the $20 tier. And then the top tier is $50, which I know is a lot, but that does include everything underneath as well as any routes that I have in progress. So right now that includes the P&B. When I was working on the main central, I believe there was a download for the main central, so it is available there. The Port LA is available there. And yeah, any other projects that I'm working on would all be available on there. So that's my spiel for that. Check it out if that's something that interests you, or don't. If not, there's no obligation. Yeah, phase 1 is currently available. Phase 1 of the P&B is currently available over at jointedrail.com. That does not include the section that we are on currently. Obviously, it's not finished. But once this route is done, I will decide if I'm going to host it on Jointed Rail or if I'm going to host it on my website. I haven't decided yet. Play the drums for an outro. I would. I don't have it. I haven't drummed in a couple of months though, because since before I got COVID, really, and I haven't picked it up since then. But I don't have it hooked up to. It's not plugged into my computer. Otherwise, I probably would hop on and rock out for a minute. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna say that we should be good for 30 on here, at least. What up, Jaden? You guys must be getting a lot of snow up there right now, too. It's finally... I was going to say, it looks like it's finally starting to taper off, but that is not the case. So I got to decide what I'm going to do with some of the scenery in this section here, because as you'll see in a moment, some of it is somewhat complete from, you know, working on it previously back in the day. So I need to decide if I'm going to keep it or if I'm going to upgrade it or update it or whatever, and how I'm going to go about doing all that. Why do I feel like I'm going so slow? Is it because it's because there's not a lot of scenery? I can't tell. Yeah, we got a lot of blowing snow out here, too. The wind is pretty wicked. I haven't been out in it yet. I'm probably going to go out pretty soon. Well, not pretty soon, but after this stream. My brother's texting me. Today's his birthday, and he's got some meats on the grill, so he's sending me pictures of it. He lives down in Arkansas, so I can't hang out with him. Maybe I'll try to play some video games with him later. Yeah, this area is not done. I haven't touched this area in 10 years, so yes, it's gotta get reworked. That's what I was trying to say in my last video. Well, the video that came out yesterday is that the main areas, the main builds, a lot of the industries and stuff like that are not pretty complete, but they're being worked on, you know. But all these areas in between are just this. It's like, you know, scenery that I threw down 10 years ago, or you know, just blank baseboards, stuff that I haven't touched any of the scenery through here. So that's what I was talking about when I mentioned like filling in some of the areas in between the big scenes. Is this stuff? I got to fill a lot of this in. So, and like these are old trees. Like I'm definitely going to replace these trees with some of the newer ones, but these are trees from like Trains 2010 probably, maybe even Trains 2009. I started this route way back in the day. I think it was Trains 2009, so it's been through a few versions of the game. And it's kind of funny if you really do look through it, you know, some of the assets that I used, they were like the best assets at the time, you know, back then. Yeah, I started the P&B and definitely was around 2009. Trying to think here. It was right after I graduated college, which was 2008, 2009. So, yep, it's been a work in progress for a while. And the main thing is that I'll work on it for a little bit and then I take a break, and then I work on it for a little bit and then I take a break. You know what I mean? It's tough to just stay totally focused on it and bang it out, because it is so big. It's just such a large route, and it's some of this I need to delete, like I said, and redo these areas. So it's not easy to do that. You know, tear out scenery and try to come up with what you want it to look like. You know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna cheat a little bit here because I hate mainline running so much. There we go. Speed this up a little bit. I don't know why we're going so slow. We got 2 engines. I think I've got a brake on is what I'm willing to bet. Yeah, we're definitely having the handbrake issue, or the brake cylinder issue. All right, let's pick this up a bit. It's like some of this isn't too bad scenery-wise, but it's certainly not up to my current standards of scenery building, you know? So I definitely want to go through and redo it. Here's an old crossing. So this is how old this route is. Like, I haven't touched this since I started it, and these crossings are by BNSF 50. You know, this is like 2009 era building here, which now looks like, you know, Trains Mobile. But that's the way it was back then. It doesn't even work anymore. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, I was pressing D a moment ago. I just don't understand why this issue keeps happening. It happens on the DBEV, whatever. I think it has to do with the freight cars. Yeah, I can see the brake, what is it, the brake cylinder is filling up for no reason. Can't get it to just stay empty. I think it's a bug, if I'm not mistaken. All right, we're almost to Highland. Come on, stupid brake cylinder. Yeah, I don't know if it's like certain freight cars that do that or if it's the engines or what. All right, we're gonna stop up at this signal here so I can see what's going on in the chat, and then we'll jump in and start doing some switching. I hate that it won't, like, why is this siding locked? You know? There we go. Let's see, what do we got in the chat here? So you're saying all those videos from the P&B from years ago are all on this map? Yeah. I think my first video was in Old Town. One of my first videos, right? Was over in Old Town, which is over here. Yeah, the first videos on my channel were all over here. I think this is where I started because this was like the most complete area. Let's see if I can go down to it. Yeah, and I mean, even this area needs to be updated at this point. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. I gotta turn down the draw distance. This is just too much. But, you know, now I look at this area and, you know, I got to switch out all these trees for 3D trees. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be using these, you know, billboard trees anymore. But yeah, the first videos on my channel on the P&B were all over here, working on Old Town. I think I had some shots that were something like, you know, back down here. I think was one of the ending cinematics there. Yeah, sorry, let's get back to what we're doing here. How long am I going to be streaming for? I don't know. A couple hours. We'll see how the day... We'll see where the day takes me. I don't know why this map is not loading right now. You noticed that there were some Jeeps pushing a steam engine into a shop somewhere on the map. Does P&B mechanically have a steam program? I guess the answer is yes. Let's go. I guess that's another thing I could show you guys really quick. If we go over to Junietta, we did add... I don't even know if I've shown you guys this since we've added this. We added like a whole locomotive shop over here. No, this is Allegheny, not Junietta. Over at Allegheny, behind the main locomotive shops, we added a like a rail museum. That was done by 44 Willies. He added that for me. So yeah, I guess technically there will be tourist steam excursions on the P&B. We're kind of building it to have some stations and stuff like that for that sort of thing. So yeah, yes, the answer is yes, there will be some sort of steam something or another. All right, back to this. Yeah, that was back when I was running CSX on the P&B because I didn't have a P&B paint scheme or anything like that yet. Does this rail drive? I thought the rail driver bailed also. If I push the brake to the side. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, 44 Willie's got he got that yard, the museum in there real nice. I was really surprised when he sent it back to me and it had that in there. That was like a year ago too, actually. Will I be collabing with Steve Laro again for P&B Steamer? I think the answer is yes, because he has mentioned interest in doing so. Though there's nothing like specific in the works or anything like that, I can tell you. But I think he does have an interest in doing some kind of a P&B Steam thing. I don't know what he has in mind. He hasn't disclosed that to me. But yeah, I think we'll put our heads together and do something. What kind of steam locos do I intend to use for the P&B? I don't know anything about steam engines. I know less about steam engines than I do about diesel engines, and that's already, you know, barely anything. So the answer is I have no clue. It's whatever steam engines people put on here for me. I have no clue. The time speed setting, I mean, I did it on camera so you could see it. It's right here, enable debug features. And then once you enable that, you hold down the shift button, and the shift button speeds up the time. As long as you're holding it. All right, with this stupid bailing of the pressure, I'm gonna like delete all these cars, man. I'm in notch 5 and I'm still having issues. Let's see. What other maps am I gonna do after the P&B? I mean, the P&B is still a little ways from being completed, but my intention is to do the main central map after this. We will see how that works out. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to switch this out. Let's think about this for a minute here. Plan our moves. This is quite a switch puzzle I've created. Gotta clear that switch down there. What railroads does the P&B interchange with? I don't know, whatever you want. I mean, it's built to be a self-contained... What is going on with my camera? hold on a minute. Something happened here. Oh man, I don't know if this is gonna go live or not. You guys are gonna laugh your asses off. Oh my god, hang on. Something, oh geez, what is happening? The P&B was made to be self-contained, so I mean you could realistically interchange it with whatever you want. I guess I kind of imagine like it would be like Conrail or CSX, that sort of thing. What is happening? Is this live? Oh my god. Hang on a second, guys. I'm having some major technical difficulties right now. Hold on. Ay. Hold on, my friends. Hold on. I guess I'm looking in the preview window and it doesn't look like what I'm seeing is actually live. But what is happening right now is that my whole screen and my webcam and everything is stretched out like across the whole bottom of the screen here. If you're on my Discord and you know the Wide Joe Sip meme, that is legitimately, literally what is happening right now on my camera, and there's nothing I could seemingly do about it. Oh my god, what is happening? Alright, well, it doesn't appear to be live for the moment. Oh man. I'm just gonna, it doesn't appear to be going live, so I'm just gonna forget about what's happening. But I'm gonna take a screenshot of it though really quick so you guys on my Discord can at least appreciate it. Which reminds me, I should take a I should give you guys the Discord link. Oh god. All right, back to this. Oh yeah, I can show you on the webcam, can't I? It's gonna be hard to really tell though. But this whole image here is just, I mean, everything is stretched out. This is the window that I'm looking at right now. So I don't know what's happening with that, but it is what it is. I guess this is okay. All right, what do we got going on in the chat here? Holy crap. Interchange with Hawaii, yeah, sure. Oh, so-called WB has a train calculator Excel document on his website that uses prototype information to figure out if the locomotives will pull the train. Recommend that for use only JR content. Okay, yeah, I didn't know about that. That sounds awesome. I'll have to check that out. I've been thinking a lot about how I want to do like car forwarding on the P&B. Like I was thinking about maybe getting a binder and doing like car cards and waybills. So that might be a thing. Is that an Amtrak box car near the back of the train? It could be. CHVX. Don't know. Yeah, let me do two things really quick here. I'm gonna post that screenshot in the without context in my Discord, and I'm gonna give you guys the Discord link. Because why not? All right, let's see. I always forget how to do this. Invite people. We will make this. It's gonna expire after. We'll do 30 minutes. Nah, we'll do 1 day. Expire after 1 day. Generate new link. All right, here we go. There you go. Have fun. And make sure you read the rules. All right, so I think the first thing we got to do is pull our cars out of here. So let's take a look at what we got. We've got our track switcher set up here, so I'm not gonna pull any of these hopper cars. We will leave that. So I'm gonna imagine that the track switcher maybe does the work and switches out the tank cars and the hopper cars and puts them down here when they're good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull all of the box cars out. I'll pull these, we'll move these two off to the right. We'll move those up to one of the loading platforms, supposing that they're empty. And we'll pull all these. So let's start with that and see how that goes, where that gets us. Again, this will actually be my first time switching out this industry at all. So we'll see how that goes. Hey, listen, the P&B foamers are absolutely welcome to my Discord. Just read the rules. That's all I ask, for God's sake, please. Just read the rules. All right, so let's get going here. Oh yeah, I've got all the old TBS stuff on my website now too, if you didn't know that. So if you're looking for the back shops content, it's all on my website right now. Will I make another museum? No, probably not. The North Carolina Transportation Museum was commissioned. So it was actually commissioned by one of my patrons, and that's literally the only reason that I did that build. I had really no interest in that museum up until then, so chances are I won't do another museum. And again, I'll just mention that all of the signaling that's here is all for, it's just placeholders. It's not permanent. So all that will be removed and properly placed down, but it's just placeholders so we could run some AI trains and get an idea of how they work, how they like the P&B. I mean, there's a couple routes that I would like to build, but the thing is like, the whole process is extraordinarily time consuming. And I would really love to do route building like full time, but it's just not realistic given the amount of time that it takes to do some of this stuff. And not to mention, like, I just can't sit at a computer for that long. Have I decided on the roster of the P&B? Not really. I mean, again, like I was saying earlier, I really don't know anything about like real railroad locomotives or anything like that. So my decisions for equipment for the P&B usually revolves around how cool it looks. And I like weird looking engines. I like high hoods. I like, if it was up to me, it would be an all Alco railroad. But there's not a whole lot of Alco models out there that are, you know, good. But I would love for it to be fully, you know, all Alco, because those are the weirdest locomotives that are out there. So, I mean, I guess mostly I'm doing EMD stuff for the most part, and some Alcos wherever I can. And other than that, I kind of just pick whatever looks cool or whatever people suggest. Like I added the, SD50 or something recently, SD45, I don't even know what it was, I have to look. And that was really just at the recommendation of, oh no, Thought I had that switched properly. Well, we're gonna run over it. I don't think we'll derail. I think we're just gonna, yeah. ST45, that's what I released recently. So again, that shows how much I know. I like, you know, model railroading and just railroading in general, but I'm just not a nuts and bolts guy when it comes to like railroad equipment, or really like just not really a nuts and bolts guy with a lot of that sort of stuff. Ooh, I forgot that I had the, let me turn that back off. I like to use the shift key to move the camera around to keep it sort of smooth. Let's see, so what do I want to pull first? I guess we'll pull these box cars. I hope I have switches down there. Not sure if I put them in. I guess I should find that out. Yeah, okay, they're invisible switches there. Alright, good. Trackside Isaiah, 99 cents. Thanks so much. Much appreciated. Yeah, GP35 would be cool. I tend to, like I said, I like the weirder stuff. I kind of like the smaller GP units more than the SD units, but I don't know. Doesn't make it really almost makes no difference to me. I tend to just go for these things all the time. I don't even know what this is right now. What is this? This is the GP7. I like the GP7s and the GP9s. P&B has GP38-2s, which I don't really know how that is different than a regular GP38, but I trust that it is. If I was better at 3D modeling, or if I had the time to spend on it, I would probably make some Alcos if I could find, I guess you gotta find the schematics or whatever, diagrams. Any plans to make a new fictional railroad? No, just finishing the P&B and then doing the main central next. I would love to get back to the DBEV and like either expand on it or modernize it or make it more like historic or whatever, you know, that would be pretty cool. Colin, $2. JR's U25Bs and U25Cs would be cool to add to the alky list. Yeah, that might be an idea. Maybe I'll look into that next. Yeah, U25s, those, I do like those. Those are pretty neat. So perhaps I will do that. Yeah, I could show you guys the full roster. I could do that in a minute, actually. Yeah, it's getting windy outside. I've always wanted F units on the P&B. That was one of the first things that I wanted to get onto the P&B was some F, A, and B units, because I kind of imagine them using that for whatever reason on the Mill Creek, or going up to Mill Creek on the, I don't even remember what the name of that. Yeah, the Mill Creek branch. I don't remember what the name of the branch is, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But I always thought it'd be pretty cool to see a set of like ABBA units, you know, with like a huge coal drag behind it coming down the mountain. You know, I thought that would be pretty neat. Never got around to it, and there's also just hasn't really been any F units available, and I know Trains Forge has some now, so it might be something I look into again. I did do, I started to do, here, where is it? I started to do an RS1. Hold on, let me just pause. I'm just gonna pause it. I started to skin up an RS1, but I don't really, and I started doing this like a couple of years ago. This was probably 2019 that I started it. But conceptually, I love the idea. Like, I'd love to have like some of these old RS units, RS1s, 2s, and 3s. You know, would be really cool. But again, there's just a lack of models. I don't even particularly like this one. I don't like the sunshade there, or I guess that's the only thing I don't really like about that model. But anyway, that was a, you know, concept that I put together a little while ago. The problem with doing like a whole bunch of skins, like an 11, 15, 18, or 20 or whatever, like that, it's just, there's so much work to get a reskin done, especially if you're not the original model creator and you have to figure out how the how it's mapped and everything like that. It can get really complicated. I'm gonna imagine this being in no horn zone, except for the big road up here. Gunslinger 999. Hey, what sources do you use for inspiration, like model railroader, prototypes? I think it'd be cool if you expanded on the topic. Also, are you using the rail driver? Yes, I am using a rail driver currently, and this thing is like 10 years old. It is absolutely disgusting and stained with coffee and probably beer and God knows what else. It's I need to get a new one, but it does still somewhat work. I've even opened it up to try to clean it and everything, but it still works a little bit. So let's see, what sources do I use for inspiration? I mean, honestly, I don't like Model Railroader magazine. I used to, but once you've been reading it for a while, you begin to realize that they just recycle all of the same articles over and over again, and they go to like the same model railroads over and over again. It's like, oh, we're back to the Utah belt again. Oh, we're gonna go check out, you know, Lance Meinheim's latest build, which, you know, those things are all great and all, but I mean, do we have to visit their routes every single year? And then almost every issue is like almost entirely dedicated to like transition era stuff or steam era stuff. Like, there's nothing modern, there's no like 1980 stuff. And I know that, you know, the transition era is like the most popular time to model and stuff like that, but I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm so over it. So I can't stand Model Railroader magazine anymore. So anyway, that rant aside, to answer the question, where I get my inspiration from, it's usually just looking out the window, looking at the trains outside. Sometimes I just go on Google Earth for fun and I just thumb around and you know, find things that look interesting, and I kind of use those for inspiration when I'm building. I don't remember if I switched these. Okay. So a lot of times, yeah, it's just kind of like going on Google Earth and looking around and getting some ideas for builds. I mean, this whole Highland area was based off of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you know, I kind of just spent a lot of time looking at different aspects of what the area looks like and how the neighborhoods are laid out and that sort of thing. And I sort of just distill that down, you know, to take all of the general look and layout of a particular area and just try to like distill it down into like the basic characteristics of it, and then sort of go from there. So, I mean, that's really where I get most of my inspiration from. And when I'm not inspired, you know, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when I'm not looking at things, because I'm a very visual person. I actually have a really hard time like imagining like a railroad, or you know, like a you know, like a game like Minecraft, for example. You know, there's nothing. There's literally nothing there, and you have to build everything up. And I have a really hard time trying to figure out like what to do. Like a blank canvas is a lot, you know, because there's so much potential there, but I never really know what to land on and do. But if I'm looking at something, then I can be like, oh, I want to try to recreate part of that, or, you know, take elements of this and elements of that and combine it. And then I do a lot better with like building or painting or drawing or whatever. But like just fabricating something out of my own mind, I actually have a really hard time with, which is usually why I don't do a whole lot of fictional stuff. The DBEV was heavily inspired by, you know, the real life Catskill Mountain Branch, you know, a real place where I grew up. And it was really based on a lot of elements of my life, you know, growing up in the countryside as a kid and then moving to the city as an adult and spending all my time in the city and, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, I was able to easily take a lot of those elements and combine them into one project. But to totally come up with something from scratch is kind of really difficult for me to do. But yeah, just going outside and looking around and finding things that look interesting, and, you know, going on Google Earth, or just looking at, I've got a lot of books. They're all on my layout, but, you know, like those Morning Sun books, you know, I've got a bunch on the Maine Central. I've got some on the Brooklyn waterfront, you know, thumbing through those and just seeing like what, you know, other photographers have captured in those scenes and what sort of characterizes those scenes, you know, how they're made up and that sort of thing. That's also where I get a lot of inspiration from, is, I guess, other people's photography and other people's works too. Like I love like looking at what you guys are doing, you know, the screenshots thread on my Discord, or, you know, going on Instagram and seeing what other people are up to. Like, well, you guys inspire me quite a bit, you know, more than you guys would probably realize. But, you know, I like looking at the works that you guys do, because it gives me ideas, or it helps me think outside the box for, you know, coming up with, you know, different ways to build in this game, like the handmade roads, or, you know, or these embankments. Like for a while you guys were all using like those in the TB, I think it was TB embankment splines and stuff, and I had never seen that before, but once I saw you guys using them, I was like, oh hell yeah, I want to get on that. I love that. So I started building with those. So it's just a matter of really like keeping your eyes open and looking around at what other people are doing and looking at the world around you, I guess. Clear this switch. So hopefully in a really long roundabout way, I think that might have answered your question, Gunslinger. Prototype photography is definitely a big thing too. Like I said, get some of those like Morning Sun books. They're not cheap. They're like 50 or 60 bucks or 70 bucks. I don't even know anymore. They're very expensive, but you're getting, you know, 150 pages worth of like really beautiful, well done railroad photography of like prototypes that you'd probably be interested in. How often do I back up my worlds in Trains of 2019? Not often enough, really not often enough, if I'm being perfectly honest. I tend to back up the P&B, that pretty much any build, any route that I'm working on. I gotta turn that bell off, it's starting to drive me nuts. Any route that I'm working on, I usually back up maybe like once a month. If I do something really extensive, it might be a little bit more frequent. When Trains 2019 was giving me a lot of issues with like areas like totally refreshing and reformatting back to, you know, their original state, I was probably doing it after every time I built anything, so pretty much daily. But regularly, probably maybe once a month. Because the thing is like, if I'm not making videos, or even when I am making videos, you have to just think about how much time you're putting into it. You know, if it's only a couple hours worth of work, it's not that big of a deal if you lose, you know, a version, you know, that's a few hours worth of work. But, you know, if you put in, if I lost like the whole P&B right now, like that would be devastating. You know what I mean? But I have so many backups of it, I'm not really too concerned about that. But, you know what I'm trying to say is that, you know, if you lose a little bit of work, it's not a big deal. So back up more frequently than you think. When I'm creating assets, though, for the game, I back up the asset literally the moment that I get it in the game, because for some reason, Tane, my version of Tane, has this issue where it will constantly revert my assets to other assets somehow. I have no idea how it does it, and neither does M3V apparently. But somehow the game reverts some of my assets back to previous versions that they were cloned from. And I'm talking about like versions and versions and versions ago, for absolutely no reason. So as soon as I get an asset like ported into the game and I get it like stable or whatever, I immediately create a backup of it and put that someplace else. Do I ever plan on using other train simulators? Probably not. The only other train simulator game that really tickles my fancy at the moment is Railroads Online. But the thing is, you know, the appeal for me is not really running the trains so much. It's more about building them. Like, I have a lot of fun. I'm having fun right now, you know, switching this out and stuff. But predominantly what I do in this game is switching, or is building. You know, a game like Run 8 sounds like a lot of fun, but I really hate mainline operations. Which way? I gotta go in reverse. It just bores the hell out of me, so I'm just not interested in that. I would much rather do like switching operations, which is why running in trains is interesting to me, or Railroads Online is interesting. A game like Train Sim World is kind of cool, but I lose interest in it really quickly because, again, it's mostly mainline operating, and I really couldn't care less for that. So what were the other options you said? Run 8, Train Simulator, or Open Rails? I'm not familiar with Open Rails at all. I'm really not familiar with Run 8. Train Simulator just confuses me because I don't, like, what is it? I thought Train Simulator was the same as Train Sim World. But, again, what do I know? So, I mean, if it has a robust building system, then I'd probably be interested in it. But if it's just about operating and running trains, like, you know, it doesn't really tickle my fancy too much. I mean, and don't get me wrong, trains, N3V's trains, whatever version that you're playing, Trains a New Era, Trains 2019, Trains 2022, whatever, they've all got major flaws in them. It's definitely not like the best world-class train simulator out there. And I'm not even talking about in terms of like physics or realism or anything like that. I'm just talking about like simple, basic gameplay needs that, you know, could be improved. Like I said earlier, like first-person gameplay would be really incredible. You know, simple things like that. Multiplayer, like an actual robust multiplayer surveyor, unlike, you know, what they have currently, would be a game changer. Would literally be a game changer. Like the version of the you know, multiplayer surveyor that they have right now is a little half-baked, if you ask me. I mean, you can only use built-in content, you can only use a certain amount of it. Like, that doesn't work. Nobody builds like that. You know what I mean? It's not realistic. It's more of a novelty at that point. But if there was an actual multiplayer surveyor or a multiplayer driver, I mean, multiplayer driver would be epic. To have like you know how many people would love to play on this map right now with me? You know, we could have trains going from, you know, one end of the railroad to the other, and, you know, everybody could be switched. You could probably have like 50 people probably operating on this thing all at one time. That would be epic, but it's not possible. You know what I mean? So simple things like that would really, really improve this game. But, you know, my hopes aren't very high that they would, you know, that we're ever going to get that. But, you know, that said, if another train simulator came out that had a, you know, as robust of a world building system as Trains does, and it had, you know, multiplayer operating sessions and, you know, multiplayer building sessions and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't think twice about moving to that, you know, to that platform. But unfortunately, I don't see any competitors out there doing anything like that. I didn't realize how sharp that junction is there. Holy cow. Oh, one thing I want to mention during this stream, too, is that the roads are really empty, obviously, because there's no traffic on them. I will be adding traffic eventually. That'll be like one of the later things that I add in there. So don't you fret. There will be traffic on the roads. Trains technically does have multiplayer driver and multiplayer surveyor, but like I said, it's totally half-baked. It's just a novelty. It's there just so they can say that it's there. It's not in any way, shape, or form functionally useful for people like me, at least. I mean, you know, if you want to play on Kickstarter County or something like that, like, sure, you can do a multiplayer, you know, operating session, but I want to have an operating session with 20 of my friends on the P&B. I can't do that, you know? Man, I love this section. Oh, somebody was asking earlier about where the old diamond crossing would have been. Let me stop this train and I'll show you. Essentially what I was saying is that if you stretch your imagination just a bit, this section of track that we're looking at here could have continued across here to the section of track that I just built yesterday. So maybe like this right of way has been shifted over the years or something has changed. But what I was just saying is that if you stretch your imagination just a little bit, this kind of looks like it could be the former leg of a Y or an interchange at, you know, maybe what used to be a diamond crossing here from another railroad. So I mean, you can think about it that way, you know, and this could have been the other leg of the Y for the interchange. It's entirely possible. You know, maybe a lot of this town wasn't here or laid out the same way when, you know, in the 1920s or 30s. And this used to be a busy main line that, you know, cut up this way and then went over this way. So that's what I was talking about in the video. It's not intentional. It literally was just an accident that I noticed while I was building it. But like I said, if you stretch your imagination a little bit, it could work. It's not something that I'm adopting into the P&B canon necessarily, but it's a possibility, you know. All right, so I'm gonna have to take a short break in a few minutes here. I'm running out of coffee. Let's see, we're paused, aren't we? All right, I have no idea where I'm gonna put these cars. This is the importance of doing operating sessions early on, so you can iron out all the details. But yeah, you know, it'd be really cool to have like a proper first-person view to, like, you know, be on the side of the tracks and, you know, watch these trains go by and explore some of the stuff that I built, you know, in first person. I would love that. Why haven't I transferred the P&B to Trains 2019? I was just talking about that a minute ago. Mostly it's because I know a lot of people are waiting for the rest of the P&B to come out in Tane. And if I switch over to 19, I can't port the route back into Tane. So I've been figuring I would finish it in Tane, so that way when I release it, the most amount of people would be able to enjoy it. I don't know if that's the right thing or not, to be perfectly honest. I really want to transition over to 19, I do. But I'm trying not to alienate too many people. But at the same time, maybe that's the wrong approach. Maybe I should just switch to 19 and just tell everybody to deal with it. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't even ported it into 19 to just see what it looks like. So I don't even know, you know, it might even require like a tremendous amount of work to, you know, get rid of some of the grasses and shrubs that don't look good, you know? So I kind of don't want to end up backpedaling again, you know, because it's not, you know, the assets are not compatible or something like that. So it makes me a little bit nervous. Yeah, Railroads Online is a lot of fun. I've only really played by myself, but I'd like to jump on a server at some point and see like what a big, you know, what a big map or a big completed system is like to operate with a few people. That'd be a lot of fun. Do I toy around with the environmental settings with my routes? Yes, a bit. I think it's important to mess with them until you get it right. Unfortunately, I think when I just did the update recently on this, I think my environmental settings might have gotten reset. Environmental settings are kind of a weird thing because they'll get saved to the route layer sometimes and to the session layer other times, depending on what you're doing. So, yeah, you got to pay attention to that. There's definitely been times where I've toyed around with the environmental settings and I saved it, and then I, you know, open up the map again later on and it looks completely different. It's because all of it was saved to the session layer instead of the route layer. Do I like putting road textures more than road splines? Yeah, obviously. I very much like doing handmade roads. If I could do them everywhere, I absolutely would. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna tie this down for a minute, and then I'm gonna take a short break, grab some more coffee, and then we'll come back and continue to do some switching here. I would really like to finish switching this area, get back to Grafton, and maybe do 1 or 2 switching maneuvers up there. Let's see, I've been streaming for an hour and a half. All right, we're doing pretty good. All right, hopefully when I come back, I don't know what's gonna happen. The screen might get all screwed up. So I'm gonna just fingers crossed. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back in just a moment, my friends. So please stand by. Oh boy. All right, and we're back. Let's see if the the stream is all messed up now. Oh boy, I don't know what to expect. All right. Oh, you're looking for the full roster. Tom Brady just retired. Oh, is that what the alert was I just got on my phone? 7-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time MVP. The GOAT is hanging up his cleats after 22 seasons. Oh my God. All right. Oh, I see what's going on. That's gonna be a problem. Let me see if I can fix this. Maybe. All right, give me a second here. This is the technical problem that I was having earlier. It's not allowing me to resize this image. Let me try something here. Transform, reset transform. What's this gonna do? This might be even more screwed up. Let's see what's gonna happen here. What's up, guys that are just joining? Doing well here. I'm just waiting to see in the live camera if this fixes the issue or if it makes it worse. Like I said, I'm not really sure what's going on exactly. It's my preview monitor is all sorts of screwed up. Okay, I guess that looks like that fixed it. All right, so let's get back. You guys were asking about the full roster of P&B stuff. I could show you. This is what's available over on Jointed Rail. We've got these two different skins for the RS-27. We've got an S4. We've got the GP9. We've got a GP7. We've got the Caboose. We've got this BW9. We've got the B30-7 and the PB GP38-2, and we've got an SD45. And if you go over to Reggie's Trains, he's got a GP60 available in, I think, 2 colors, right? Yeah, so he's got these GP60s. So you can get those over at Reggie's Trains. Everything else is over at Jointed Rail. You will have to pay for that content pack, though. The locomotives are not free. So that is the P&B roster. All right, so what are we doing here? What's next here? I gotta think about my next move. I think really what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this cut of cars and just spot it up in the yard up here for the next crew to switch, essentially. Or for this little track machine doodad to do the switching. So we'll do that. I guess that'll be our next move. And then what we'll do is we'll pull the TOFC cars, wherever they are. We'll pull these out and we'll put them onto our current consist here, and we'll take it back up to Grafton. I think that'll be good. So let's go ahead and uncouple here. I guess I gotta bail off the air on the engines, so maybe the engines are what's bugging out with that brake thing. So some of you guys are saying that you've used the route in Trains 2019 and it works pretty good. So maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll port it in and just take a look at how it looks. Because like I said, I really would like to get it into 19. And I mean, the main thing is that it's got the surveyor and driver, you know, together. So that way, you know, I could switch some cars and literally like leave them on the layout, you know, and continue to work on the route without messing up the where the cars are. Because one of the things that we got to get on the main line actually. Or no, where we got to go? Yeah, we're backing up here. What was I gonna say here? One of the things that I like with the P&B, one of the things that I want to do with the P&B is to just sort of get like an operating session going and have like an ongoing operating session that just can continue on forever. You know, get some freight cars on the route, do some switching like we're doing here, and then, you know, be able to pick this back up, you know, next week or next month, you know, and be able to start operating again. And all the cars are still in the same spots that we left them. So you can do that with Trains 2019. You know, you go into you've got the surveyor driver thing. You can, you know, simultaneously work on the route and not have to move any of the freight cars around. I really like that idea. Catch you later, AE12. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you next time. What kind of PC do I use? I built my PC a few years ago. It's got a Core i7 7700K. It runs at like 4.25 gigahertz, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I've got a 1080 Ti in there. I've also got Trains A New Era on its own SSD, and I've got Trains 2019 on its own SSD as well. So they're not even on the same hard drive. And there's literally nothing else on those hard drives other than Trains A New Era or Trains 2019. It's all to themselves. All right, let's see. We gotta keep going backwards here. But yeah, I'd like to get into 19 just so I can kind of I can get that operating session going and just keep it going. And that's another thing that I like about like Railroads Online, for example, is that, you know, all of your cars are right where you left them last time, and you can keep laying track around them and building, and, you know, and then jump into the cab and do some switching. And, you know, I think that's a really fun aspect. And, you know, if that's available for Trains and Trains 2019, that's the thing that really piques my interest the most. Because for the longest time, probably since I started doing, like, working on the P&B, at least, you know, with YouTube and stuff like that, I've been talking about doing these, like, big ongoing operating sessions, and that's something that I really, really want to do. I always envisioned doing, like, a monthly live stream where we do, like, a big, you know, operating session every, you know, Monday, the first Monday of the month or something like that, Monday night of the month, or whatever it might be. You know, and to get an operating session going and then literally just pick it back up where you left off from the last time and, you know, keep it going and going and going into infinity, I think would be a whole lot of fun. And that's something I definitely am looking forward to doing in the future. I guess I've been kind of waiting a bit to have most of the industries laid out, which I'm getting to that point now. I mean, there's only really 2 major industries left that need to be built. I've got to do the power station down on the Pleasantville Secondary, and I got to do the junkyard, the scrapyard right over here in Highland. And excuse me. Once that's done, all of the industries that will be on the P&B will be at least there, you know, to some degree. So it will be doable to have, you know, an ongoing operating session and actually have some equipment moving around. So maybe I will switch to 19 soon. I don't know. Honestly, I've really been hung up on it. I really have. JVC and Grazzy don't look good in 19. Yeah, that's the thing, is that a lot of this grass, the grass sets that I've used are not going to look good in 19. It's more formulated for whatever it's called, the turf effects, which I really hate. I really don't like turf effects whatsoever. I mean, it's good for filling in like a field or something like that, but that's where it ends for me. So this is not Trains 19. This is Trains A New Era. What did I say I was going to do with these? Oh, I was going to put them in the yard there. That's right. All our tracks are lined up properly. Yeah, like a proper eye level camera would really be dope. The problem with turf effects is that you got no control over it. It just sort of splatters wherever it wants. Like, you can't get really close to trackside with it, you know, without it going all over the tracks. I don't love that. I also prefer the cameras in 19 too, because you can kind of, you've got that free roaming like drone camera. Because here's the thing, when you're in this view, no matter where you are, you're always pointing to the ground. Even if you're at ground level, your vantage point is still going downward, pointing to the ground. So you get these like really weird angles that don't really look great. But with the drone camera, in 2019, you at least can get like a flat eye level shot. And that's obviously much more realistic. I think there are searchlight signals from JR, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, we got about 3 cars to go here. Have I used Run 8 before? No, I have not. I have no idea what it even looks like, to be perfectly honest. That's probably good. We're clear. Alright, so we're gonna put it, I don't know if we'll fit on this siding here, but we're gonna try. A nice vantage point. Yeah, 19 and 22 have first-person views. Yeah. I know that. That's what I was just talking about. Is like one of the motivating factors of, you know, at least being interested in switching over to 19. I don't think I have any plans to switch to 22, at least right away. Because it's my understanding that the new Surveyor 2.0 isn't even actually included in Trains 2022. It's only if you're, you know, subscribed to it in the beta or whatever. So I don't really know what they're trying to sell. If you look at the fine print on the N3V store, it sounds like the Surveyor 2.0, I think their wording was, will be included in a future release. So that to me says that it's not even going to actually be part of Trains 2022. That it's only available to test, I guess. I don't know. Man, it is so windy outside. Holy cow. The snow is just coming straight sideways right now. Pretty bad. Hopefully I don't lose power, because that would really suck. Yeah, I mean, Run 8, yeah, I've heard that it's a really realistic train simulator, but like, I'm not playing this game for the realism. In fact, I really don't like simulation games that are like way too realistic, because to me it becomes like you're working a job, and I play video games for fun. You know, I don't want to feel like, you know, like the thing with like Train Sim World, where it's like, all right, you got to get in the engine and start it, and then press like 4,000 buttons and turn these knobs to get the thing going, and then, you know, then you can maybe pull forward. Like, I hate that. I really don't enjoy that whatsoever. So, or like in the same thing with Railroads Online, I hate the fact that you have to keep stoking the fire in the stupid steam engines. I hate the fact that you have to stop and get water. You know, I can't stand that sort of thing. Or like you have to wait for the boiler pressure to build up. Like that, I don't like that. Like, this is about as far as I go in terms of, like, you know, simulation realism. You know, this is good enough for me. Using the rail driver and actually being able to control, you know, forward and backward and, you know, the brakes and that sort of thing, that's fun. But, you know, if you notice how I play, I don't ever look at like the brake pressure or any of that sort of stuff. I don't even know all this stuff in the top right, brake pipe, PSI, brake cylinder PSI, main reservoir. I don't know what any of that means. And I don't care. I don't care to learn it. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that enjoy that aspect of it, but it's not for me. I'm more interested in the, I guess, the logistics of like moving freight cars around. That's one thing that really, that I really enjoy with the P&B is the fact that, you know, it's all built for operation. It's all about, you know, car forwarding, and, you know, all the industries are online, and, you know, I like that aspect. I like the idea of like building a train in a yard and being able to look at the, you know, the cut of cars and know, you know, they're going here, these cars are going there, you know, and I like that aspect of it. So in terms of like logistical realism and simulation realism, that's probably about as far as I go, I guess. I like that aspect of it a lot. Yeah, trains reminds me of a sim that you'd use if you want to build a model railroad and you don't have the space IRL to do it. Yes, exactly, and that's how, that's really the main reason why this has been my main, I guess, vector for railroad-related stuff, because I've been living in an apartment in New York City for my entire adult life, so I've never really had space for a proper model railroad, but now I've got a little one over there that I'm working on. But if I had more space, if I had space for an actual model railroad, I would probably not play this game as much, and I would focus more on the actual model railroad, because I'm more of a tactile person. I like to be able to like handle the models and you know, manipulate them and that sort of thing. So yes, that is a really good analogy, is that trains is sort of more of a game for building a model railroad if you don't have the actual space to do it. I 100% agree with that. What's one thing you're very proud of in your route? You know, on the P&B, I don't know. I really like these big industries. I think my favorite industry that I've built so far is the paper mill. Let's jump over there really quick and take a look. I would say that that's my favorite build so far. And I guess that's probably the part that I'm most proud of. It's obviously not totally complete, but I really love the layout of it. I love the detail. I like the complexity. I need to fix some of the roads a little bit, but I really like how it flows, and this feels like a really real place to me. So this would probably be the thing I'm most proud of on the P&B. I think. But overall, like in the trains game itself, I would say the DBEV, my Dry Brook route, would probably be my my build that I am the most proud of. That's the one. That's the one I, you know. Hey mom, look what I made. You know, like that's That's that. Need a GoFundMe for a bigger home to build a real-life P&B HO. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, at this point, you need a GoFundMe to buy a house anyways. It's just completely out of reach. Yeah, I'd love, I mean, that's the thing. If I could ever afford a house, it definitely is going to require a spare bedroom or a basement or an attic space or something like that for me to build something bigger than, 4 feet by 3 feet, on top of a bookshelf. Really what I would love to do is build a bigger version of the model that I'm working on right now and actually fully model the Brooklyn waterfront. Because Brooklyn's Bush Terminal is, it's only a couple miles long. It actually, in N scale, you could probably model it almost track for track. So I would really love to expand that and build a much larger, more functional version of that. A real life P&B would actually be a lot of fun too. I've often considered what that would actually look like. Well, I've spoken with the original creator of Trains. What's his name? His name is escaping my brain right now. Greg Lane. I spoke to him a few years ago, and like his original vision for Trains when he, I guess, sort of invented it, like way back in like 2003 or something like that, was to be a model railroad simulator, not to be the game that we play now. It was more designed to be a like a tabletop model railroad simulation, rather than a like a real life railroad simulation. So I'd be interested in talking to him today and asking him what he thinks of the current version of the game. But I did speak with him a few years ago about that. I actually wanted to get him on the show and interview him, but it just never, the timing never worked out because he is based in Australia and I am based in New Jersey. The time difference is a little extreme. Yeah, and I've seen people merge the P&B with the DBEV and the Hudson and Western and all that. Yeah, I mean, you guys who do that are just crazy. It is really cool. I'm not going to disagree. I mean, that is a really great idea to have a really robust, large-scale route if you're into that kind of thing. All right, we're going to grab these flat cars, and then we're going to head back to Grafton. What about Fremo? I don't know. What about Fremo? I mean, if you're asking like what my opinion is, I think it's kind of cool. In terms of the thing that I don't like about it, I guess, is that when it comes to like modeling like my N scale one or HO or really in the game, is that I like to stick with like a prototype from end to end, and for it to be, as realistic as possible within the reality of that prototype. So like Fremo is pretty cool, but like for the individual module, but like when I go to like train shows and then there's like 50 Fremo modules connected together and you're going from like a city scene to like a winter scene to a mountainous scene to a whatever scene, all in the span of like 25 feet, it's too disjointed for me, and I don't love that. But from like an individual sectional perspective, I do find it fascinating. Man, a lot of questions about the drums today. Yeah, I've had them for over a year now. I bought them in October of 2020. They've been behind me. If you look at any of my streams over the past year, they've been there. But I haven't played. Maybe I'll play today. I haven't played in a couple of months. I don't think. I got sick in December, and I haven't played since probably the beginning of December. Did the P&B exist in the Steam era, or was the P&B controlled by the PRR or another big Pennsylvania railroad? It probably would have been controlled by the PRR, if I had to take a guess. P&B is... Bill M., who was the original visionary of the P&B, envisioned it as being a short line. I've completely expanded on that, and it is way beyond the realm of being a short line at this point. But his original vision was that it was a short line and it interchanged with the B&O on one end and the C&O on the other end. How that fits into today's context in the P&B that I'm building, I really don't know. I've never really given it too much thought, historically speaking. But I guess if you were to try to ground it into, you know, some kind of historic reality, it probably would have been the PRR, yeah. I don't know what's going on with the LOD on the number boards. It seems to not really want to be loading in. I love this scene, man. I just, these tracks crossing through here like that, I just love that. Somebody pointed out in my video yesterday that this probably wouldn't be a TOFC yard, based on the way that the cars would be loaded, or the trailers would be loaded. It would probably be more of a transload facility. That, you know, I'm leaving that sort of open to you guys, like how you would want to, you know, make use of this. I do agree it is sort of an awkward, like, I guess, design for actual TOFC functionality, but I mean, whatever. It's still cool. I mean, use it for however you want. Like I said, I kind of imagine it as being a little bit of an open-ended, you know, site for either transloading or like a team track or something like that. I haven't hooked up the TRC yet here either. Yeah, I kind of feel like the LOD on that whole engine is a little fishy today. So the number boards still haven't rendered in. Still haven't rendered. There they go. Yeah, it's really strange. I don't know what's going on with that. Fuel tanks are invisible. Oh, wait, what is going on there? Is that how that's supposed to look? I don't know. Yeah, again, I don't know enough about engines to know if that's a bug or not. I really like how this whole area is coming together. Looks really, really good. Once the rest of Highland is... Jeez, excuse me. Once the rest of Highland is fully complete, this is going to be really, really, really nice. I mean, look at that. That's going to be awesome. These are GP9s, I believe, right? GP7. Yeah, whoever was asking the question earlier about like laying roads, this is why I like to hand lay roads. Like you can't do this with regular spline roads, like have turning lanes and, you know, that sort of thing. You know, I really think that that adds a tremendous amount of realism to towns and cities when you have properly laid out roadways. Like it's such a simple detail, but I mean, it makes a world of difference in my opinion. I think the spline roads that are in the game are very clunky. And they just don't look good. You know, aside from the fact that you can't do like multi-lane things like I just pointed out. I mean, they're just overall really clunky and chonky, and I don't like them at all. Alright, back this on. Yeah, like look at this bridge, for example. You know, like it's jagged, it's way too like out of scale. The texture on the road is pretty flat, the road markings are pretty flat, and I know if I get far enough away it starts to get kind of fuzzy and weird. So yeah, it's not great, but I'm not a fan of the single tone horns either. We're gonna, as soon as we get back to Grafton, we're gonna switch engines. Hey Brian, how are you, buddy? It's been a while. Good to see you here. Yeah, it's good to be back on the P&B for sure. Excited that this will be done soon. I don't know if I would say, you know, soon. It's soon. Soon in the context that it's sooner than it's been. But I wouldn't. Don't hold your breath too much because if I go to the map view, I'll just try to show you really quick. You could see down on the left how much empty tile there still is. So there is still a lot of work to do. I mean, granted, I think what's going to end up happening is a decent amount of that is going to get filled in just with like trees and background, you know, generic scenery. But, you know, P&B is one of those routes that I'll just continue to build on and release updates, you know, as time goes by. The ground texture for the roads is textures by S. Myers, the city street textures, and I'm also using just a regular base asphalt texture mixed in there. But the city, I think it's called City Street or something like that. S. Myers is the author. Those are the only textures that I use for roads. They look fantastic. Yeah, all the roads were made for Trains 12 or before. Yeah, that's 100% true. I mean, the thing is, though, like, even some of the JR roads, you know, they actually might be reskins now I'm thinking about it, the yarn roads. The yarn meshes. I'm not sure, but, I mean, they look good, but they're still not really that great. So, I mean, definitely hand-laid roads for the win, as far as I'm concerned. Let's get around this train. And then I'm probably gonna re-enable those debug features so I could just fast forward us back to Grafton. I should throw that switch back. Procedural track would be awesome. I wish there was more of it just in general, like anybody making it. It would be great. Anybody in the USA making it, because all of the procedural track that I've seen, or it's all European meshes, models, and I just don't, you can't really use that in the US. I use only TRC crossings. TRC is way better than the Atlas crossings. Oh, I guess that's the other thing with Trains 2019 is if I make the switch to 19, the TRC crossings are all kind of bugged out. So might end up losing some functionality there, which I don't love. I really don't like the Atlas crossings. Because the thing that I like about the TRC crossings is that if you're pulling up to the crossing and you stop or you change direction, the gates will go back up. And the Atlas ones, you have to go over the whole trigger in order for it to reset. I don't think anybody at JR is making procedural track. I haven't seen any rumors about that. They might have at some point. I think maybe I saw somebody demo it in JR like quite a while ago, but I don't really think that anybody's seriously making... I don't even know if JR is seriously making anything anymore. I don't know what's going on with them. I mean, somebody's making some content, but there's not much activity on the Discord, I can say that much. No issues with TRC 19. See, that's the thing, is that I've heard some people have issues and some people seem to not have issues, so I don't really know what the deal is. Oh, you know what? Let's get these tanker cars while we're at it. Let's scoop all this up. I haven't had TRC act weird with junctions. I think the thing is if you follow the TRC tutorial, they tell you to use one trigger on like one side of the crossing, and I found that the best way to use the TRC crossings is to have two triggers, one on each side of the crossing, and that sort of improves the accuracy of it. Is my cat lurking around behind me? Oh yeah, that's Lexi. He's my gray kitty. So let's see, this is another industry I've never switched before. I guess if this was to be like a actual operating session, we probably would pull these out and then put new tankers in there, but I don't have any tanks to put in there, so we're just gonna pull these out. Both my cats in here? What's going on? Oh yeah. Madison is over this shoulder. So let's collect all these. Yeah, the other thing I have to figure out is exactly what the commodity chain is gonna be. I don't like there was a diesel coming by outside. I've added and expanded on these industries so much, and I've modified them so much that I'm not really entirely sure what, at this point, like what industries are producing stuff to go to what other industries, and, you know, how much of that should be, you know, interchanged outward. Just try not to derail here. I've been doing pretty good. Yeah, if you port a route into 19 and you load it up for the first time, the environmental settings are going to be completely reset. You'll have to take some time to tune them up, make them look good. Yeah, I definitely need to extend the track a little bit. That was definitely pretty close to just rolling off there. I have to make a mental note. I'll do that maybe after the stream. Come on, just let me throw the damn switch. Oh, it's so stupid. Why? I gotta change the distance. I just don't know why the default distance is like 100 freaking feet. Just doesn't make sense. All right, here we go. Careful not to go too quick here. Been streaming for 2 hours and 15 minutes and I haven't derailed yet. We're doing good. You could change the I guess the diameter or the distance that it that the trigger sees it. In Surveyor with the under the trigger tab, you could set the distance. It's the same way you would set the distance of a regular trigger, but you can apply it to switches. Yeah, 20 meters. So what is that? 60 something feet? 66 feet? That's ridiculous. What are my cats doing? What are you guys doing? Yeah, I should get an achievement for that. Give myself a gold star. Now this is where it's gonna happen. Got this long train with a lot of momentum going. I'm gonna go right off the edge here. Oh, we might be good. Look at that. Perfection. Yeah, the cats are playing behind me. Being little punks. They're both staring at each other. Cat Cam 2022. Yeah, the problem with hand-laid roads is hills. It's not really that much of an issue though if you know how to deal with it. What you got to do is lay your road down, set the gradient of the road that you know, how you want it, on the hill, then use the plateau tool to level the ground underneath it, and then use the remove height tool or whatever, and then when you do that, it'll settle back down onto the terrain totally flat, and then you don't have to worry about it like floating or anything like that. Couple this back up. Yeah, the traffic in trains, like the regular road traffic, is not anything really to write home about. It's not very good. That could definitely use some serious improvement. Maybe one day. I remember them saying at some point fairly recently that they were working on an update for it, but I don't know, take that with a grain of salt. What happened here? We stopped short. But yeah, I can never use the train brake. I usually almost always use the independent brake because the train brake just I just come right to a stop. All right, here we go. Let's put this in neutral. And I'm gonna change the facing. How do you do that again? I don't remember how to do that. I'm just gonna go in here. All right, I'm gonna re-enable the debug mode so we can fast forward our way back to Grafton. Make sure all of our switches are set properly. Hey, thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. Glad you enjoy my videos. Is everything on the route from JR? No. A lot of the content that I get is from the download station. I mean, all the rolling stock is probably from JR because the rolling stock that's on the download station is mostly just garbage. So probably most of the rolling stock that I have is JR stuff or RR mods or whoever else. More than likely it's not from the download station. But a lot of the buildings are from the DLS for sure. I mean, pretty much everything in this scene here is off of the DLS. The only thing that's not is that brick building in the back there by the roadway truck. But everything else is from the download station. All right, let's go. Brake pressure again. Great, let's go. Just gonna floor it. Come on. So I still don't understand what is causing this bug. Control point simulations, yeah, I know those guys. I wonder if that bug has to do with this, with the debug feature, holding shift. Yeah, look at this. This is ridiculous. I'm looking at the brake cylinder pressure. It keeps going up and then back down and up and down. Yeah, it's definitely a bug. I don't know if it has to do with the... with that debug feature. Or if it has to do with the engines, or if it's the rolling stock, or if it's... I really don't know what the issue is. It's very irritating, though. I have to just keep bailing off. Come on. Yeah, I keep watching the pressure up there. I don't really know what's going on. I should definitely be going faster than 20 miles an hour in notch 8, though, I can tell you that much. Yeah, I got a hole in the brake hose somewhere. That's exactly what it seems like. Come on, bail off. I'm holding shift and bailing at the same time. I don't know if that's actually making a difference or not. Doesn't seem like it. We're still slowing down. All right, so according to the in-game time, this whole trip is about 4 hours, right? 10, 11, 12, 1, 3 hours. All right, I gotta get ahead of this train so I can put it on the right track here. Come into the yard. You know what? We'll just go right back to the track that we were on. Why not? Oh, now we're moving 40 miles an hour. Oh yeah, one of the other things is on the original P&B there was like a logging camp up near Grafton. I don't really know that I'm gonna work that back in. I was thinking about putting it down here, but I'm not sure if I really need to include it. So I'm still kind of mulling that over. I kind of feel like most of the lumber would come from the Moss Creek branch logging camp up there. So I might just kind of keep it to that. Steam excursions on here, sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely can. We've got on the phase 1 section, 44 Wheelies has been updating some of the scenery there, and he's been including some station platforms along the Vonnie branch and Old Town and stuff like that. So if you do want to do some kind of a steam excursion, you certainly can. The option is there. Probably came through that yard ladder a little quick, but whatever. Slow down a bit. bit here. So now these tanks, I know, would be bound for a train to go all the way to the other side of the map to go to Junietta, and then get switched onto a train that would go down the Vani branch and go to Old Town. As for the boxcars and stuff like that, I don't really know where they would go. But these tanker cars would be headed to Junietta. Where are we right now? We're up at Grafton. We are in the Grafton yard. So I think what we're going to do next, we're going to tie these engines down, and I'm going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back and either we can load up the ore train and go down to Allegheny, but there's not a whole lot of scenery completed between here and Allegheny. We could also maybe grab some coal cars. Maybe let's do that. We'll take a trip over to the coal yard and pick up some empty coal cars to go down to mine 78. How long is the route miles wise? I think it's about 48 miles, 43 miles, 45 miles, something like that from end to end. It takes about, if you were to run it from end to end, it takes a little over an hour and a half, I want to say. It's about an hour and a half doing track speed, which is like 30 or 40 miles an hour. So you can do the math off of that. If you go back a little bit, if you go through my videos, I have a recent like route tour where we follow a train in a time lapse from one end to the other, and that time lapse took me an hour or two to shoot. Will this be the final update for the P&B? No, definitely not, because once it's done, I still want to go back and like fix, tweak some areas. There's other things that I want to add. As if it comes down to like if you're talking about like a major expansion, I probably won't do another major expansion on it. But I can see myself revisiting parts of this build to redo it or add to it. And I haven't decided how I'll do it. I don't even know how I'm gonna release this particular update. But I think it'll be one of those things where, like, if you buy the route, if you buy the full release of it when I finally release it, anytime I do an update, it'll be like a free update. You won't have to like buy it again for the update or something like that. And I guess that would be unless I do like a major section or expansion or something like that. But I don't really anticipate doing any major expansions personally. Yeah, the yard is really nice once it's populated with some rolling stock. I can't really speak for its functionality too much, since this is literally the first time I've done an operating session in it. But it seems to be good so far. So we're gonna tie this down, these engines down, and we're gonna take maybe the B-37s over. We'll collect some hopper cars, some empty coal cars, and maybe we'll bring them over here. I wanted to just do a little bit more switching, like around Grafton. Ooh, that was not switched right, was it? Could have derailed there. Yeah, so we'll do a little bit more switching around Grafton. How long is this stream been going for? 2.5 hours? That's fine. I'm good. I'm feeling good. So we'll stream for maybe another hour or so. I probably should go outside and clean my car off at some point before everything freezes to it. Freezes solid. Alright, we good here. Gates are not going down. Oh, there we go. Alright, so I should probably adjust the timing on those triggers also. Not a big deal, though. What's the next project after this route is done? Probably we'll jump over to the main central and get going with that again. That actually, believe it or not, might be a little bit easier for me to do because that's a DEM. Like, doing like a real prototype build is a little bit easier for me because I can look at Google Earth or I can look at pictures and sort of copy what's there. So it's a little bit easier than for something like this where I'm trying to imagine, you know, what these scenes are going to be and this and that. So I kind of think that if I can get back to the main central, it might go kind of quick. Although I don't know how many custom assets I might need to make and what have you, but it might go a little bit quicker than something like this. All right. We are going to take these engines and we're going to go get some coal hoppers. But first, we're going to take a short break to use the restroom, and I'll be right back. And hopefully the images or the picture doesn't get all screwed up when I come back. So I'll be back in just a moment, my friends. Stand by. Okay. Okay, let's hope the image isn't all screwed up. It might be. I gotta wait and see what it looks like on YouTube. Since my preview was all messy. Let's see, what does the chat say? What happened to the CSX route up in the north of New York? That one just got shelved for a little bit. I'd probably revisit that eventually. It was just too big of a, too ambitious of a project at the time. I needed to take a break from it because it was just making me crazy. All right, picture looks good, so let's get back to it. We're gonna take these B-37s or whatever the heck they are. Oh, we can't go that way. So we gotta go this way. Well, let's see. I should redo these things because I'm not entirely happy with the paint color and everything. See, I like that horn. Much better, although there's no bell. Or it's really soft, I can't really hear the bell. Yeah, yeah, I was referring to the Rochester build. I thought that that's what Sean was asking me. Yeah, I took a break from that one. It's just way too ambitious and too big. And to be honest with you, like building like the city of Rochester was just burning me out big time. Cause you know me, like I want to like accurately model the town and everything like that, and like laying all those houses accurately, and like, you know, having to place individual buildings like that like a gajillion times really was like wearing on me. So I was like, I gotta take a break from this. So I think we can get kind of on the main line, not the main line, but the main trackage. I hate that the camera's kind of bugged out in this version. Oops, I forgot that I have, hold on. Oops. Let's pause this for a second. I forgot that I had the debug settings on. I'm gonna turn that back off. Just so I can hold the shift button to adjust my camera and stuff. I feel like these engines are a little bit more reactive than the GP7s. Make sure all my switches are properly aligned. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to not the coal mine, but I don't even know what this area is called. The coal yard. Way over here. Behind the business district. And we're gonna pick up a cut of empty coal cars, bring them back to the yard. Oops. Why is this? What is going on here? Why did it do that? Just wanted to switch that track and it like jumped me. Yeah, I like doing these like little ponds and creeks and stuff like that. I think it adds a lot of character to areas. Like these little sort of like floodplain marshy thing. I really like that fill back there. Oh wait, we're not going on that track. Are we? Yeah, we are. Check my junctions up ahead because I have no idea which way they're thrown. I think this is the way we gotta go. How do we... Wait, how do we get over there? I don't even... Oh my god, I'm lost on my own route. We took a wrong turn. We gotta go this way. All right, let's back up. That's unbelievable. Not a big deal though. Yeah, this goes to the garbage facility or the recycling facility, the steel thing, and the grain facility. All right, let's just do this. I love the exhaust coming out of these things, man. Oh, it's awesome. I like the sound of the engine too. It's got a good sound. That definitely does not count as derailing. Nope. Not counting that as derailing. Look at that scene. That is gorgeous. I love that. It's so good. Obviously, it'll be better once it's all filled in, but... Yeah, I like how you can see the tops of the buildings, too, in the city. I think that's pretty cool. Am I still not on the right track? I don't even know anymore. Wait a minute. I gotta check. Where does this track go? Oh, we're still totally not on the right track. All right, wait a minute. We got a major problem here. We gotta... I'm just gonna move the... I'm just gonna do this. Jesus. There we go. You didn't see anything. Nothing happened. We're going way too fast. Cannot remember if I hooked up these crossings or not. We're gonna find out in a moment. Shooter, yeah. Oh no, the gates are going back up. Yeah, TRC can still be a little bit funky. Honestly, I probably didn't set that up right. I probably threw it together really quick. What episode will this route be finished? I have no idea. I haven't set a, I haven't, like, decided on something like that. That's usually not something that I think about until I'm, like, really close. It would have been great to be done on 50, but it's not looking to be the case. I mean, technically, me throwing the switches remotely like that is also kind of cheating. I really should pull up to them, stop at the train, get out of the cab, walk up to the switch, throw it. So these are empties. We'll bring these back to the yard. We'll actually just pull down next to the other, the ore train that's there. Just kind of stay staged on that track. It's sort of like an arrival departure track, I guess. Oh, did we couple? Ah, just short. It's too bad. There we go. Make this our lead locomotive. All right, let's head out of here. I kind of like the idea, like I was ranting earlier about how I don't really like too much realism in simulators. Is the brake still on? But I do like the idea of doing like a brake test or, you know, waiting for the brake pressure to fill up if I really understood how that worked. You know, that kind of, those aspects I think of like, you know, the simulation aspect of it, I kind of am into. I don't really know how best to like replicate that sort of thing in this game. I'm sure that some people have figured it out. I know, like, I think I remember reading in like a issue of Model Railroader a while ago, people who model that like brake tests in, you know, HO scale or N scale, and the way that they do it is they, you know, connect the engine up to the train. Ooh, excuse me, and pull the train ahead just enough until like the last car is moved, and then they stop, and that's like the brake test. So I think that that's kind of a cool idea. I don't know if there's a good way to do that in this game, but oh, that looks nice. So the thing is with TRC is that you don't necessarily have to number everything. Apparently you can name it as long as the names like match exactly. That also works. So it doesn't have to just be numerics. So you could name something like, you know, Grafton and 1, or Grafton and like the name of the road crossing itself or something like that. You know, it doesn't have to be like 1 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. Watch stuff about Run 8 and get your own opinion. I'll check it out. I'll look into it. But I mean, the other thing is that I always complain about not having enough time, and it's really that I just don't want to devote all of my time just to like train stuff. I do like playing other video games and, you know, watching movies and stuff like that. I work in the film industry, so I like to kind of keep up with, you know, things that are going on. Wonder if these gates are going to go down for us. Morning from Australia. Hello, welcome. Yeah, why do I feel like the LOD is like really off today on my engines? It's really strange. Oh, did I actually super elevate these curves? I think I did. Nice. Oh, I really like the sound of those engines. Now we have to make sure that I have all my switch points set properly. We are on this track. Okay, that's good. That's fine. That's fine. We'll switch over here. Switch that. That's good. That's good. All right, we're good. Are most of the P&B's locomotives inherited, bought from other railroads, or are they specifically bought fresh from the manufacturers? That's up to you guys to figure out. I have no clue. So whatever answer you like most is the correct answer, because I have never considered it in that sort of depth. Like I said, I pick engines to run on the P&B because I think they look cool. And that's about as far as that goes. Where do I find the Discord screenshot winner every week or month? On my Discord. If you're on my Discord, there's details. I could probably post... I could probably put the link again in there. I know Jaden's not gonna like that. I guess I kind of imagined that some of these engines would probably have been purchased from like the Penn Central. Would be my guess, because the P&B in my mind takes place in like the 90s, you know, late 80s, 90s. That's why there's cabooses and a lot of this like older EMD and Alco power. So I would imagine that probably a good amount came from Penn Central, but I mean that's kind of me just sort of like riffing. You know, I'm just kind of thinking about that on the spot. Super elevation is a pain in the butt. I honestly don't really know how to do it. I just type in numbers until something looks good. Like, I don't know what the separate parameters actually do. So I just start keying stuff in, like, between 1 and 10, I think. 10 is the highest I'll go. And then, I don't know, see what happens. All right, so we're just gonna park this. We're gonna tie this train down on the one of these arrival tracks. Where on the P&B is this? Grafton? Yes, this is Grafton Yard, and we were just up at the Grafton Docks terminal area. Have I considered putting a military base on, I guess you mean probably this map? No, I haven't. I don't really know how it would fit in. I always had old power on the older PC power on the P&B. Yeah, I remember when Bill M first introduced the route many, many years ago now. He had shared, a lot of his screenshots had old Penn Central power and Reading power and Conrail and all that sort of thing. So I would imagine that it definitely fits into that somewhere. This looks pretty dope. I like that. I got to get rid of all those signals there. They're driving me nuts. But like I said, they're all just placeholders. I don't really love how they look, but they will be gone soon. I've had people not recommend, but like ask about an airport on the P&B before, and I've sort of considered maybe making, I don't know where I would put it, but like a small airport for like farm planes, like crop dusting planes, or like personal planes or something like that. Just like a really small one runway type airport, but I don't know. Main Central route, when I'm done with it, I probably will host it on my site, to be perfectly honest. I'm trying to, nothing against JR or anything like that, but I'm kind of trying to get away from hosting my content on Jointed Rail. I've got my own website. I've kind of got my own brand going on, and I don't really feel like I need the support from Jointed Rail to, you know, sell my product. Like, I'm selling product off of my website perfectly fine. So I would prefer, if I can, to release the Main Central map when it's done, probably on my website, assuming I'm, you know, really still very active doing this. Same with this P&B version. Like when P&B is done, I don't know that I'm gonna put it on Jointed Rail. It's actually a lot easier for me to host it on my own website, and you know, if somebody has issues or I gotta troubleshoot something, I can, you know, easily do it myself from my own, you know, ticketing system. So rather than having to deal with JR. Not to mention, if I sell something through my own website, I get to, you know, keep the profits off of that. Whereas when I sell something through JR, it, you know, they take a cut of that. So in the grand scheme of things, future releases will probably most likely be mostly through my my website. Main central content itself, you're talking about like rolling stock and stuff like that. Again, I would probably try to see if I could get some other people that I know in the community to either make models for me, or I'll try to make them myself. But you know, there's already the main central GP38s out there, so those are already done. Would love to get some main central, you know, GP7s or GP9. What did they have? I think they had GP7s, not GP9s. So maybe that would be a jointed rail thing. I don't know. I really haven't thought about. I haven't given it enough thought, I guess, is really the answer. All right, what are we gonna do now? Let me think here. We can come up and maybe grab the trash train. This is another thing, like an industry that I have absolutely zero idea how it actually operates in real life. Like, I have no clue whatsoever. Like, I don't know if these flat cars get, if these like boxes come off of the flat cars and the flat cars go back empty, like with no boxes on them, or if they actually take the dumpster piece, I guess, and dump it and then put it back on the flat car empty. And then, like, I don't know how this works at all. But I like the aspect of it. What's going on in the chat here? Yeah, there isn't any main central assets. There's, yeah, exactly what you said. GP38's on NARM, and there's some old GP9s. Yeah, was it VMD? I know that they're on somebody's site right now. Main Central didn't have like a huge fleet. They had GP38s, they had the U25s, but those came in the 70s and 80s. They had U18s, which also came in the late 70s and early 80s. So I don't really care for those. Mainly it was GP38s, the GP7s. They had two RS11s, 801 and 802, which would be really cool. They had some S2s and I think S4s, and I think that was it. They didn't really have anything else. All right, so I guess let's do this. We'll take these. What are these? Oh, these are my SD45s. We'll take these SD45s and we'll go collect the trash train, and maybe we'll just end things. I was gonna say we could run this down to Allegheny, but maybe we could take the coal train down to Allegheny. But again, like, well, this empty hopper would go to mine 78, not to Allegheny. We could load this up and go down to Allegheny. Let's do that. Let's load this train up with ore, and we'll take a spin down to Allegheny, and that'll probably be the last thing that we do. Going on 3 hours now, and I'm starting to lose my voice. All right, let's make sure we get on the right track this time. This is the track we're gonna go to. I'm gonna work myself backwards from here. We're gonna switch that. And that's good. That's good. We gotta cross over here. That's fine. All right, we are good to go. I do really like these SD45s. Quite a bit. And the dynamics are stuck on this one also. Here we go. Flat cars keep the boxes when they return empty based on what. Okay. Oh yeah, Main Central did have F and E units, but that was like in the 50s. I believe they sold those off. I believe they sold those off in the 60s. So if I was to model, I guess I should mention this. Modeling the Main Central, it's going to be in like the late 60s, early 70s. And I think, if I remember correctly, the title of the series that I had started was Main Central 1971. So it would sort of fit within that era, which for the most part was, like I said, GP7s, RS11s, and GP38s, and that's about all they had. Plus the switchers, obviously. If I consider doing a CSX route in the early 2000s, that would be pretty cool. I do like CSX stuff. I know a lot of people don't, but I do like CSX. It's just because I'm used to seeing it. I guess technically my grandfather retired at a CSX, so there's a little bit of a connection there. So yeah, that would be pretty cool. I guess I haven't given it enough thought to think about like what the prototype would be. That would interest me. Norfolk Southern in the early 90s. I don't really know anything about Norfolk Southern. I had never seen a Norfolk Southern engine until I was like 30 years old, so probably wouldn't do something like that. Do I do UK trains? No, I don't do anything with European stuff. Not interested in anything European. Sorry. Just not. Doesn't jive with me. The Ortner hopper. These Ortner hoppers are, I believe these are from Reggie's trains. He made them for the DBEV. There are Ortners on the download station, actually also skinned for the DBEV. I want to say they're Dave Snow models, and they are reskinnable. And I think you can reskin them and upload them back to the download station. So I will be making some P&B Ortners at some point, but I think those particular ones are from Reggie's trains. Yeah, Main Central did have some 44-tonners for sure. N and WPRR during the height of the Steam era? No. Not interested in Steam at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's fascinating to look at pictures and operate, and it is a very interesting thing. But in terms of modeling it, running it, or any of that myself, I have zero interest in. Yeah, most of the stuff that I want to model and the things that I'm interested in are really more quote-unquote modern stuff, I would say. Anything beyond the transition era. I like older Alco locomotives. I really like, like the RS2s and 3s and stuff like that. But I kind of like them in the context of being old locomotives, in a modern world, or a more modern world. Like, I like railroads that hung on to the RS3s into like the 60s and 70s, to use them for switching and stuff like that. Like, I love that concept, but, having first generation diesels running alongside of steam and during the steam era and stuff like that just totally does not interest me. I feel like it's overdone. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with Model Railroader magazine. I feel like the transition era is just beaten to death. It's just been beaten to death. I'm tired of it. So over it. So more modern things. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so I'm probably most interested in that stuff because most people who are interested in, you know, model railroading or trains in general tend to be interested in the thing that they grew up seeing. You know, that seems to be one of those like common threads that links, you know, every rail fan together. So, you know, things that existed in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s are really what interest me the most, more than anything else. And again, like, you know, like to my point about, you know, wanting to have like the weird looking locomotives like Alcos and stuff like that on my layout or my routes or whatever, you know, I like that again in the context of like modern times, like the Bat and Kill Railroad that runs, what is it, an RS1 or something like that? And they've got all those D&H locomotives and stuff up there. Like, that is so dope, seeing like those really old locomotives, you know, hauling modern freight cars. I think it's just it's really like contrasty and like, you know, kind of unexpected, I guess. And I like that sort of juxtaposition between, you know, old railroading and modern railroading. Yeah, my grandfather hired out with New York Central in the 1960s. I talk about this all the time, I feel like. He hired out with the New York Central in the 1960s, and he retired in like 1992 or something like that. So he was with, he might have actually hired out. Yeah, he was on the New York Central. No, my grandfather was not on the New York Central. Oh, I don't know if we're going to make it through here. I didn't put in switch points. Or junctions, rather. Let's see what happens here. All right, we're good. Yeah, he started with Penn Central. My great-grandfather worked for the New York Central. I actually have his certificate of service, like his retirement thing, in his New York Central system, like pass, I guess, with his name on it. It says New York Central River Division. So yeah, my grandfather, he hired out with Penn Central and worked Penn Central through Conrail and retired out with CSX. And I have a bunch of his paperwork too, which is it's really cool to go through. I've got all his like time logs where he, you know, wrote in there, you know, on duty, you know, 0700 and, you know, what train he was on and what time he went off duty, and all his notes in there about like what they're switching that day, you know, like he worked on the river line, you know, up through the Hudson River, along the Hudson River. So like, you know, he had notes in there like Cement Town, you know, switch track 4 and take these cars, put them on 5, only use the pocket for XYZ, you know, all that little crap. And it's really cool to go through that sort of history and read about, you know, what he was doing that day and what he was doing on the line. I love that stuff. Yeah, flame rails. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, I think. So now this thing is actually not hooked up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull up to the loading platform. I'm going to stop the train and then just load the whole thing. And then what we'll do is we'll take this down to Allegheny. I might fast forward through some of these scenes because there's really not a lot to look at. And we'll just park this down in Allegheny, and then we'll call it quits. That'll probably bring us right up to a 4-hour long stream, which is right up there with some of the longest ones that I've done. Jimmy, I couldn't agree with you more. He says underexplored era for model railroading is in the late 1970s through the 90s, before the railroad landscape became homogenized. That, you know, I couldn't have worded that better myself. I love how you put that. That is perfectly true, because as the 90s went on, everything turned into intermodal and unit trains. And I remember growing up as a kid and seeing you know, trailer on flat car trains. And I remember when that was like a big thing. And, you know, the only unit trains that I ever saw were like coal trains, and that was it. You know, everything else was like a mixed bag. I mean, that was like just the coolest stuff to see. I mean, even the motive power was just always a mixed bag. Let's see, can we load these with some kind of ore? I don't know, I'm not used to doing this. About iron. But yeah, now anything you see on the railroad is all, like you said, it's homogenized. It's just all the same cuts of, you know, huge cuts of auto racks, huge cuts of, you know, intermodal cars. I just, all right, I guess we can't load these with iron ore. I'll have to mess with that another time. So for now, we will just load this with aggregate and pretend that it's ore. All right, it's not showing the load at all. What happened? Okay, so it's not. What about this one? Ballast. There we go. All right, so we'll just load it with this so at least we have some weight in the train. Oops. All right, and away we go. I meant in terms of companies, but your point ain't bad. Well, you could take credit for that one, Jimmy. Just take the credit. It was your idea. Maybe I articulated it a little bit better, but yeah, I mean, that's sort of the, I guess that's sort of the draw for the time for me. It's, you know, I guess anything post 70s really has any of that, you know. The 60s were still sort of, you know, the transition era a little bit. You had a lot of the first and second generation diesels still running. Passenger service was on the decline. 70s was sort of like, you know, the railroads were failing, but they were, you know, homogenizing a little bit, but they were doing, you know, I don't know. It is an interesting time for sure. What I find interesting is, like, for my model in N scale, you know, I'm modeling Brooklyn's Bush Terminal, and I'm trying to model the 1980s, and I can't find anything, like very few models of like automobiles or trucks or anything like that that fit the 1980s era. And I just don't understand why these manufacturers aren't, you know, making models of things from that time. Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I know it's not a hugely popular time, but it really shouldn't be as rare as it is. Chat go. Uh-oh. Overheating. Oh, okay. I thought we were derailed. I've never seen this. Engine is in danger of overheating. That's totally new. For me, at least. I mean, I've seen it on one of the DBEV units, but I didn't realize that it was on these SD45s. We might need to, like, put a couple more engines on here because, like, I'm barely moving. Turn the game sound up a little bit more, just one. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't seem like we're having that brake issue with these cars. So far, at least. Yeah, I'm gonna have to add a couple engines here. Wonder if I can get this onto the main track. I kind of want to get it over to the yard before I throw a couple more engines on here. I don't really have a locomotive storage facility, but I got a couple of, like, I don't know, maintenance tracks for the engines. The main one being at Allegheny because that's in the middle. That's like a division point yard. Yeah, you know, the other thing in the 80s and 90s is that there was still like a lot of local industries along mainline tracks, and I feel like these days, you know, railroads are only really interested in serving like the customers that can take big unit trains. They're not delivering like one boxcar to, you know, Eddie's, you know, general store or something like that anymore. They're just delivering these huge unit trains. So, you know, I definitely remember seeing a lot more locals when I was younger too, and that's obviously is more interesting for me to you know, that's why I like switching and stuff like that, is I like seeing the trains stop and cars getting moved around and stuff like that. Just way more interesting. I don't know how many cars are on this train. Probably 50 maybe? It's just too heavy. I'll throw 2 more engines on here as soon as we get into the yard though. If we can make it around this turn. We might not be able to. Should probably super elevate this curve too a little bit. Yeah, I should probably see what track we're going to also. I think we're just gonna be going back to the track we came off of, right? Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Let's see, we'll get to the end of the yard and then we'll throw a couple more engines on here. Otherwise, we're not going to make it to, definitely not going to make it to Allegheny, or at least in any timely fashion. These engines sound really good too. Yeah, let's get through this whole junction back here. And then we'll throw some engines on and get moving. What signals am I using? I think they're... I don't know what signals they are, actually. I didn't place them. So I'm not sure, and they're only temporary anyway. Yeah, I don't know what they are. They might be the searchlight signals from Jointed Rail. I'm really not too certain. Alright, since I don't have any other engines hanging up here that I could use, I'm gonna just spawn some in. I don't know. Let's do this. Can I, if I do... where is it? Move to train. Let's move them to here. I think that should be fine. Okay, so let's just couple it up. XCSX GP40-2s. Somebody had mentioned a while ago doing some sort of like leaser type power, which might be interesting. I might be interested in doing that at some point. All right, let's see if this will improve things. This has gotta work. Ex Norfolk Southern. Probably not, because the P&B, I think the Norfolk Southern and the CSX probably existed after the P&B. I'm thinking. Go ahead and re-enable those debug features. What I need to do is make sure my tracks are switched. First and foremost, safety first with the tracks. Oops, why does it keep doing that? My God. It keeps teleporting me. It's not what I want. I just want to throw the stinking switch, man. ahead and say that that brake glitch is a byproduct of that debug mode. That is very much what it seems like, because we weren't having any issues until I re-enabled that. This is just so annoying. This brake pressure thing, man. Just don't get it. It must have to do with this debug fast forwarding thing. Because the only time I see it climbing like that is when I'm skipping through it. Norfolk Southern was formed in '82. All right. I guess that makes sense. I think that brake cylinder pressure is supposed to be at 0. As soon as I... Alright, now we're at 0 again. So I was using the D button to bail off the air. Now that we're at 0, let's see how long it stays there. What grass and bushes do I use? These are all old ones. I have no idea what these are. Probably old JVC stuff. I mean, that tends to be what I use anyway, but this is definitely some older stuff. We're in a really old part of the route right now. Yeah, as soon as I hit shift, it starts going back up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, it was happening earlier when I had like 5 cars in my train. It wasn't just big, long 40-car trains. Alright, maybe we might have to just call it quits up at, get this up to Highland and call it a day. My throat's starting to get scratchy. Let's see if we can make it there. It really does just seem to be when I'm using the debug. Let's let it go and just see what happens, I guess. Without... Let me turn off the debug. How about... Let's see what happens. If it just happens on its own. What I'm guessing is probably happening is with the debug thing, when I hold down shift and speed up time, the game doesn't know how to do the calculations and fast forward. So it's just making stuff up. That's my guess. Well, it looks like it stopped snowing outside. Yeah, this is all, you know, really old scenery, I guess. Scenery I did like 10 years ago. More than 10 years ago, really. Probably in, like I said, 2009. Yeah, it was probably right around 2009, 2010 that I did this section. I haven't touched it since, so... Needs to be redone. It's going to get gutted and redone very soon. Alright, so far I haven't used the debug feature to fast forward time, and the brake cylinder pressure is still at 0. I'm willing to bet that's the issue. Which stinks because that debug feature is really useful. But there's no way right now I'm gonna sit here and drive this all the way to Allegheny without that feature, because I'm going to be sitting here for the next 40 minutes. So let's see if we can just get to Highland. We'll tie it down at Highland and we'll call it a day there. You know what? I'm going to put the link for the Discord in the chat again in a moment. For anybody who's tuning in now, if you want to jump in on my Discord, hop over there. Yeah, this is all so dated. It's so bad. All right. Still at 0 PSI. Yeah, it's definitely a debug feature. Glitch. Bug. Debug's got a bug. Who'd have thunk? I probably should have done some more weathering on the frame of this thing, huh? It's not too bad, I guess. Alright, now we're really hauling. 40 miles an hour? Doesn't feel like it, but... Invite invalid. All right, let me try again. Try this. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to do with a lot of the filler scenery through this area. We'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll come to me eventually. I don't want to do too many like towns or neighborhoods or anything like that, because that does take a while to lay out. So, I mean, maybe I'll add some in, but it's not going to be extensively, I guess, populated. We'll see. I don't know. I'll come up with something. Super boring right now. Is there a way to know how many tons the train is? Does that tell you this in here? Locomotive weight, trailing weight, okay, 7,929 tons. Total train weight, 8,719 tons. Oh, it gives you the train length too. I had no idea. I didn't know that was in there. 2,418 feet. Interesting. All right. New classification lights. I knew all that. Huh. Interesting. Oh, I should probably see what what track we're switched here. Probably onto the siding. All right, we'll stay on the main, and we will just tie it down up here. Should probably start slowing down already, I guess, right? Yeah, this is all got to get filled in. I'm not gonna... I don't know what I'm gonna do, but at least I have a good idea of how this is gonna come together. I've got this planned out. I can see it in my head. All the roads are laid out. Next episode, like I said, is going to be over here. We'll probably fill in... I'll probably fill in a whole bunch of this area on camera and maybe off camera. Like, I'll split it up a bit. But that's going to be a lot of fun. This is all going to be like a neighborhood back here with housing. And then back here will be like our strip malls and that sort of deal. McDonald's, fast food restaurants, and all of that. So that is going to be cool. See, these these cross bucks here need to go. They're ringing and they're activated for no reason at all. How we doing? We're coming in at 30 miles an hour. I kind of feel like once I get some road or some cars on the traffic, oh my god, some traffic on the roads, it's gonna look really cool because I'm gonna have it set up so maybe they change lanes or they make turns, and I'll make it look cool. I gotta start slowing down if I'm gonna ever stop up here. Yeah, you know, the other thing is I should probably look and see how long, like if this siding is long enough to work as a passing siding. I didn't really think too much about that. It definitely needs to function as a passing siding. And I definitely haven't put a whole lot of thought into that. How long did it take me to build all this? In terms of the route, I mean, I've been working on the entire route for like 10 years now, but in terms of like my last video, the video that went up yesterday, that took me probably about so a 20-minute video is usually about 2 hours of real-time building. Man, we ain't gonna make it. Yeah, 20 minutes, it's usually about an hour of build time per 10 minutes of video time. So if you see a 20-minute video, it's usually around 2 to 3 hours worth of time that I've spent like working on something. It's usually a little bit more than that. I guess I'm compressing that because it's a 20-minute video is 2 hours worth of build time that I record, but I do a lot of stuff off camera and in between, so it does take quite a while. I would say all told maybe 6 hours per build if you count the off camera time and don't count the editing time, so that's probably a good estimate. All right, but we're gonna just end it here. We've been streaming for 3 hours and 40 minutes, so I need a break. So we're gonna wrap it up here. But I had a lot of fun today operating trains finally on the P&B, something I've been looking forward to, and I hope to make it a little bit more of a regular occurrence, maybe like a monthly operating system session or something like that. We'll see what we kind of get going here with that, but that was pretty cool. Good exercise for seeing how things will function on here as well. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Don't forget to like this live stream and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, if it's your first time here. I put the link to the Discord in there, so feel free to jump on the Discord. Just please read the rules. That's all I ask. But I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out today. Again, I had a lot of fun. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good Saturday.